Hi, I'm Jeanette Walls, and this is where my story begins. It's a March evening here in New York City, and I'm on my way to a party. I'm worried that I have overdressed for this evening. I look out of the window of my taxi and see my poor mother digging through a dumpster, scavenging for food. I'm embarrassed to admit that I slid down in the taxi seat to avoid my very own mother seeing me. My parents insisted that they are happy and doing just fine, but I cannot accept that. As I regained my composure, I told the cab driver to take me home, where I would listen to Vivaldi, hoping he would calm me down. As a kid, I was part of what you might call a dysfunctional family. My father, Rex, was an unemployed man who was always on the loose. Our family liked to skedaddle, which to my father was running away from FBI agents, but in reality, it was just bill collectors who wanted his money. You wouldn't know this, but my father was actually a very bright man when he was sober. It's a shame that my father was obsessed with trying to find gold instead of getting a real job. Every time we were on the road, we would make ridiculous stops at which my father would claim gold was nearby. One stop would be at Battle Mountain, Nevada, which wasn't exactly the nicest town in the country. Although here my father would finally get a job, but his devotion to finding gold led to his firing, resulting in our family having to scavenge for food from the neighbors, and then resulting in us going on another skedaddle. After what seemed like an eternity of traveling, we finally settled in Welch, West Virginia, an impoverished town where my father's parents lived. My brother and I enrolled in the Welch school system. We were placed in special education classes because of our accents, and the principal could not understand us. School was a difficult time for us. Not only was I discriminated against by the teachers, but I was also attacked by a group of girls during recess. Outside our house, my brother and I found an expensive diamond ring. We tried to convince our mother to sell it, but her selfishness prevented us from collecting money which we would have used to buy food. This resulted in my siblings and I digging through garbage just to suffice our need for food. With my father disappearing occasionally, my whole family was being torn apart. My sister Lori went off to a government-run camp for enriched kids, and my mother Rosemary went off to renew her teaching certificate. When Lori returned, she was determined to get away from Welch and move to New York City to start a new life. Lori was inspired by two filmmakers that were taking part in the government program that she was in. After Lori had told me about her idea of living in the Big Apple, I started a secret fund that would be enough to buy us a bus ticket to New York City. All was going as planned until one day my father stole our money. Our only option was to start a new fund, but then Lori was offered a job in Iowa, babysitting for a family in exchange for a bus ticket to New York City. After not being able to stay put in Welch anymore, I decided it was time to leave and go to New York. My father walked me to the bus station to see me off, only hoping that I would have a bright future ahead of me. My sister Lori and I were doing well living in New York. Brian, my brother, told Lori and I about the horrid conditions in Welch, so we decided to help him move up to the city with us. Later, I applied to Barnard College to get a better education. My parents moved up to the city so we could all be together again. My parents were kicked out of a few apartments before moving in with my sister, but my father's drunken fits caused Lori to kick them out too. My parents had nowhere to go and were now homeless. As our lives progressed, Brian became a police officer and moved to Long Island. My older sister Lori was now a freelance artist, and my younger sister Maureen moved out to California after going to jail for stabbing my mother. As for me, well, I settled down and married a man named John, and I'm now living out the life that I have always dreamed of.